Good afternoon, and welcome to the Tuesday, May 26th meeting of the Plymouth Selectboard. The board will be entering into executive session this evening. The Selectboard will hold an executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Clause 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. I so declare. This executive session is in relation to the nuclear host communication litigation. The Select Board will hold another executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, Purpose 7, the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22F and G, to approve and review the Select Board Executive Session minute notes from the following dates: October 7th, 2025, November 25th, 2025, and March 17th, 2026, all related to the 132 Warren Ave, Fraggle Inc., Sandy's Restaurant lease extension. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Okay, we will move into executive session.
You have to have a vote. It was moved and seconded, but there's no vote.
Okay, okay, let's do a vote. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
We will be returning.
We will be
correct?
returning to
Thank
open meeting when executive session is completed. Thank you. Welcome back. We have exited our executive session and we are returning to our open session. Per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the Select Board after notifying the chair, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair so as not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any recordings. I'm aware of the local scene making a recording this evening, and also Mr. Frank Mand has let us know that he will also be making a recording. Is there anybody else who will be making a recording? No. Okay. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 28, 2025. This meeting will be conducted via remote means and in person. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Tune in to the local scene government access channels, Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 47, and watch the meeting as it's aired live, or watch the meeting live on the local scene website. Members of the public who wish to participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner. You may join us here in person at the Great Hall, Plymouth Town Hall, at 26 Court Street. You may join us remotely by clicking the Zoom link that you'll find in our agenda. Please join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay. First up, we have a number of licenses in front of us tonight. What is the pleasure of the board? Okay, a motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion? All right, Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Quintal,
Yes.
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Golden,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Licenses are approved. I don't have to gavel. Okay. We also have a number of administrative notes to approve tonight. What's the pleasure of the board?
There's no objections. Take 1 through 5.
I'd like to remove number 5
Number
for a
5.
separate vote.
For a separate vote. Okay, do I have a motion to approve
1 through
numbers
4.
1, 2, 3, and 4?
Move it.
Okay,
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion? I'll call for the vote. Mr. Golden,
Yes.
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Quintal,
Yes.
and Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, administrative notes 1 through 4 are approved. Mr. Cohen, did you want to comment on 5?
Yes, I just wanted to take the time to recognize the work of the Department of Energy and the Environment here in the town of Plymouth, their ability to work on getting grants to help us with the acquisition of close to 20 acres off of Beaver Dam Road. The approximate, it was an article at the town meeting in 2017 where CPA funds were used, but it was also an opportunity for the town to get grants to help us with the purchasing of this land that sits next to a number of water resources. So it's not only protecting our water, but it's protecting our land. So I just wanted to take the time to note the staff's effort, town meeting's effort, and the residents' effort to see that this important piece of land on Beaver Dam Road was preserved. So if there isn't any other questions, I'll just make a motion to approve administrative note number 5.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No, I will call for the vote. Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Quintal,
Yes.
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Administrative note number 5 is approved. Okay, we're going to move into public comment now. I just wanted to note one change to the public comment process. I always viewed public comment as one of the most important parts of our meeting because it's where we get feedback, we get ideas, we are held accountable for the decisions that we make. And what I found last week, my first time chairing this meeting, that I wasn't able to fully stay engaged in the comments because I was trying to keep track of time. the 3-minute rule. So we're going to try something tonight because I think it's very important for all of us to be as engaged as possible with public comment. And you'll see up here on the screen, we now have an electronic timer. Everybody's going to be, this will be self-monitored. So when you approach the 3-minute mark, you'll hear a little bell ring, is that right? Or some noise will come out of it. And that will be your 3-minute, that your time is up. If you would like another minute, of course, we will consider that for you. But I would like to stay as fully engaged as possible, and I would not ask any of my board members to serve as timekeepers because I would like for all of us to be able to have that same privilege. So we're going to give it a try, see how it works. You're on your honor to honor the 3-minute time limit. So with that said, would anyone like to give public comment? Mr. Lydon.
Steve Lydon, Precinct 17. I would just like to say what a great job the 250 committee's doing. They're, maybe Mr. Culhane will get up and speak about it also. They're having a ceremony at Town Square, and they've done a lot of work, and it's going to be a great day at Town Square. The other thing is the sister city, Shishigahama, will be here at the end of July, and they will have a welcoming ceremony as soon as we find out they're coming. So I think these are the two items that should be brought up as much as possible to let the public know all the work that these two committees have done, the distinguished visitors and also the 250th, to get these two events to where they should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lydon. Would anyone else like to speak? Mr. Malaguti.
Thank you, Evan Malaguti, Precinct 2 and member of the Advisory and Finance Committee. Over the past couple weeks, with the regards to the Simon's House and other things that have happened, I've looked at a few things that I've done over my tenure from other committees, and something came and rang a bell, and that was some of the work that I did as a member of the Revenue Idea Task Force, and also related some of the stuff that was on the agenda tonight, especially during executive session. So two of the things in relation, so tonight for the executive session, which you were talking about, the nuclear host committees on that, we actually looked at a proposal for taxing the spent nuclear rods as one of the revenue generations, and we took the legislation from the state of Minnesota, which actually has that regulation on there that they tax the spent fuel rods for the nuclear reactors that have been either decommissioned or are still active within the state. And that has been, I don't know how long, but that has been law for at least a couple of decades in Minnesota. So if you are looking through executive session, that's part of the thing that you can look at for ideas for either litigation or some other measure. And going back to the Simon's House, another thing that, since we did basically gift, in a way, the Simon's House to the Manomet Conservation Sciences or Bird Observatory, that remember that we also purchased the land from them not that long before that as well too, and this brings up the pilot, silent, and guilet topics for nonprofits. And this has been a long topic that we talked about during the Revenue Idea Task Force of, while we appreciate nonprofits, we also want to make sure that they're also giving some sort of service retribution back to the town as well too, for the services that we provide for them on the taxpayer dime that they don't pay taxes on. And I know that there has been proposals in the state to actually allow communities statewide to do pilots, silents, and guilets, but that proposal has not made it forward to actually become an adopted law yet. But there's many communities that either abut us, or Boston is a prime example that has more than 20 different pilot, silent, and guilet agreements with hospitals, universities, and other nonprofits that they pay either a portion of their taxes that they would have been asked if they were not a nonprofit, or they have actual services that they provide the community outside of their regular attributes as well too, that help with the community. And it's ways we can look at for not just providing services, but also providing things that we cannot provide with our budget constraints. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to our agenda proper, and the first item on our agenda is Silva, Director of Inspectional Services, who will be presenting a temporary commercial sign permit policy. And these are the signs, the sandwich signs that we see out on the sidewalks, especially this time of year. So that's what we're talking about, right?
That's correct.
Okay, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Chair and fellow board members. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Jason Silva, and Director of Inspectional Services. So I'm here tonight before you for a temporary commercial sign policy, something that is an important opportunity to try and address some public needs. Our zoning bylaw allows for this policy to be created and allows for this process. So I included along with this a memo. And I'll just read briefly from the memo and allow you to ask any questions if you may have of the policy itself. The creation of this policy is a well thought through and collaborative effort between the Town Inspectional Services staff and the Downtown Business District Chairman, the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Town of Plymouth legal staff. This policy went through many edits and versions, and the version you see today represents a final draft. We all worked hard to create this policy, and it represents the business community's desires while also incorporating an impartial and safe set of standards for the public. I hope you find this policy as a symbolic olive branch effort to the business community, and it shows a continued effort by the town administration to support all aspects of our growing community. We respectfully ask that the board vote in the affirmative to approve this policy as presented, and that we also are allowed to include a $50 fee for a permit fee to implement the policy. So it's kind of a briefing on it, and the policy itself is effectively similar to like what we would have in a zoning bylaw for a sign permit. It mimics our zoning bylaw in many ways for language, so it's not a reinvention. It's kind of an add-on to our zoning bylaw sign policy, and it creates an opportunity for businesses downtown to display their particular store's goods or needs. But it also provides a comprehensive kind of plan that incorporates everyone's needs together. If you notice, there's like an opportunity to put a QR code on it that connects to many other businesses. So somebody visiting Plymouth downtown could just scan the QR code if used as we've kind of directed. And it would also lead you to many other businesses that could hopefully help each other along the way. Forcing some sort of opportunity to create cohesiveness so that when we go out to enforce, if there is issues, we have a solution to people's needs, business needs. We can say, here, we have this opportunity for you to advertise. So I think it's a long time in the waiting, and a great opportunity, again, to reach out and say that we care about not just the residents, but the business owners here in town.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. And just to clarify, before I bring it back to the board, we're going to be taking two votes tonight, the first on the policy and then the second to approve the fee. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, great. I'll bring it back to the board for questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jason. I was looking at the portion of the regulations that talk about location. It's page 2 of 5, item 2, specifically looking at item 2I, B, and C. Signs may not be placed closer than 5 feet from the curb line, and a clear path of 5 feet or more must be maintained on the sidewalk. Does that mean that, so a sign sits on the sidewalk, right? And then there needs to be 5 feet between this edge and the curb?
That's accurate.
So wouldn't this preclude a lot of businesses downtown from having a sign?
There are many businesses that, as an example, could take their sandwich board sign and turn it flat against the front of their business. And arguably, the sign is not standing on the sidewalk, but allows for them to advertise, again, flat against the building, single-sided as it might be, but it still allows a temporary commercial sign to have some sort of opportunity. The idea being that we cannot block the sidewalk, forcing, as an example, a woman that has a baby in a stroller to go into the street around the A-frame sign. We need that 5 feet. If they have more than that, they're welcome to put that sign there. If they don't have that there, that sign would have to be turned flat against the wall, not obstructing the sidewalk.
Where does the 5 feet come from? Why not 3 feet, as an example?
We looked at, as an example, sidewalk designs and curb designs and the fact that handicap accessibility requires pathways. And that 5 feet is kind of a design factor for sidewalks. There are many, many cases where we have trees, telephone poles all over the place. It's a guide for us to try and create a standard to say, you know, this is what we're going for. To make it clear to individuals that are putting the A-frame signs in the way when you park your car on the side of the curb line and you try to open your door and the door whacks into the A-frame sign. And now again, you have pedestrians that can't get down the sidewalk. So the intention is to keep a clear 5-foot pathway, keep everyone safe.
Is the 5 foot a standard somewhere, or is it like, did you
It's
folks?
Yes, we're using it as a sidewalk, level of sidewalk, coming from the handicap accessibility codes, and things like that. 521 CMR, ADA regulations, that's what sidewalk is designed to be at 5 feet.
Okay. I also see here that under 2IA, signs can't be placed within 15 feet of an intersection. Is that correct?
Correct.
What's the purpose of that piece?
So if you come to an intersection, whether it be a pedestrian or a vehicle, and you take a left and a right look down, you have effectively a sightline distance issue where you can't see vehicles coming or going. And again, we have children in electric bikes, they're zipping all over the place. So if I came to the end of a street, as an example, to the bottom of Lincoln Street, and if I look to the right or I look to the left and there's a sign within 15 feet of that intersection, it's going to block my sightline distance. If you keep it back far enough, I have enough opportunity to see down the street or the sidewalk at least a reasonable distance. We use this, and again, this 15-foot reference is used in many sign bylaws, including our own at intersecting ways, to hold things back far enough. And it creates a triangle at that intersecting T that says keep the space clear so that you can see safely down left and right.
Okay. I understand that one a bit more. I do think that 5 feet is, so if you have a 2 foot sign, right, is that probably like roughly the dimensions of a sign's width?
I think we give some size limitations, but the 2x4 is kind of a general reference
Yeah,
to it,
right,
certainly, yeah.
So you need a 7 foot sidewalk then to make sure that we would be following this regulation.
If you propose to take a A-frame style sign and turn it, you're orientating it, as you're saying, perpendicular.
Right.
That's accurate. But this is for a broad understanding of temporary commercial signs that can include A-frame style sandwich signs, or could include a singular sign flat against the building. It creates the opportunity. Right now, it is prohibited. We have to go out arguably and tell people they're not allowed to have anything because we don't have this policy in place. So this policy has been long in the waiting. And again, we did vet this policy through not only the local business owners, through our inspectional services, through all our code enforcement aspects of it, through legal counsel, and this is what we've come up with as kind of the consensus of what will work. We intend on using this as it is, as a policy. There is no enforcement action related to this, other than saying we won't give you your sign permit if you don't follow these rules. We're not looking to penalize anyone. It's a permissive policy.
Okay, so this will be my last question. So is there anything that precludes us from making it 3 feet as an example, or 4 feet, or some other
No,
measurement of
this
distance?
policy is at the board's direction. I would support that if you'd like to make edits to it, that's at your discretion. But that, as I said, we did work hard in multiple facets of, the different divisions, whether it be the public realm, the legal realm. And again, it's up to you whether you would like to edit it or whether you'd like to keep it as it is.
But we wouldn't be violating the law if we made it a smaller distance.
I can't speak to the law. I can tell you that we've already looked at this policy and that they've already approved it as it is from an internal legal standpoint. It hasn't gone to the attorney. It's a policy. It's not a
Right.
zoning bylaw from that end of it.
Okay, thank you.
So I see on the page, second page, under general regulations, the following shall apply to all temporary commercial signs. And you go through lighting, and you go through location, and then the general location, and as Mr. Golden indicated, some of the other sections on the bottom there, number 4, under section 2 in C, signs in the historic district. Temporary commercial signs must be consistent with historic commission guidelines where applicable. So does this cover that? The whole, I guess, the whole historic district? From the lights at 44 down to Reliables and around the Bradford Street neighborhood and up Union Street. So that's where you're covered. You don't, I'm reading through the whole thing and it's not making a lot of references. A lot of these signs are going to be in the historical district. But that covers us, I guess.
that's
So the
correct, yeah.
historical commission can look at this bylaw, this policy and this policy, and they can, it gives them greater guidance. It's not limiting them on their responsibility.
No, not at all. I think that the intent of the policy is to ensure that all applicants in those areas and districts conform to those areas and zones, and that
Right.
since we're issuing a permit, we can ensure that whatever design they've come up with is collectively used. So if they go to the Historic Commission, they show a particular 2x4 panel.
Okay.
Historic Commission says that that's approved, they endorse that.
Okay.
We issue the permit accordingly and can inspect along the way.
Okay.
And again, this is not it does not change anything, it's permissive. It adds to the existing policies. It doesn't reorientate, change, or strike anything. It's permissive to allow temporary commercial signs when we don't allow it right now.
Just on 2 notes, as you move forward to implement the implementation of this, obviously it would be a good idea to reach out to the Historical Commission and let them know that this is what our policy will be. Might be a good idea for inspectional services to reach out to the Historical Commission to engage them so that they know that this is a change. And the other thing is maybe some sort of outreach to the businesses that may be affected.
So I've spoke
Yep.
directly with multiple business owners, including, I'd say at least 6 or 7 of them, and had direct conversations with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
This draft incorporates specific language that the Chamber of Commerce, as well as multiple business owners wanted. So there's no question this is collaborative.
Oh, nice.
I can say wholeheartedly, not everyone got what they wanted.
Right.
There are some people that wanted different things, more permissive, more restrictive. But again, the numbers are not arbitrary. Could they be changed to your own discretion? Absolutely, but that it is a collaborative effort, including some ideas of the historic district needs, including the needs of business owners, including the needs of the town, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm glad to hear that there's been a collaborative effort with the local businesses, that they've been engaged and aware of this. But I was just thinking about as we go to launch it, obviously we have an Office of Communications here in the town of Plymouth, and they could probably, direct local businesses. This is the new policy of how we'll be handling these temporary signs in the area. So anything you can do to get the word out, I think would make your job, this more effective and your lives more easygoing.
Well, originally and I don't want to go too far off, but originally my idea was to try to create a universal design for those exact reasons. And so
Okay.
that is something that, as an example, the historic district could work on. And our intentions is to try to create uniformity as much as possible without limiting people. And so that is the intention, to, again, create some sort of collaborative effort between not only historic, but this is, again, accounts for not just downtown Plymouth, but this is North Plymouth, this is all kinds of other areas that might lay outside the historic district as
Okay,
well.
I'll leave it in your court to do those things. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. So following up on some of Mr. Golden's questions, so page 2, section C, portion 2I, C, so that about a clear path of 5 feet or more must be maintained on the sidewalk. So that's, I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's taking into account that the sidewalks have telephone poles, waste barrels, other fixtures. So you want to have a path so that people in a wheelchair, people in a mobility scooter, people pushing a baby carriage.
Can pass in both directions.
Right, right. Okay, and, well, by not pass in both directions simultaneously, right? Just-
Correct.
Really?
Yes. People
all
don't just
places.
walk in one direction, so we have to try to ensure that if somebody, again, comes with a woman in a stroller and somebody comes in the other direction, that one person doesn't have to go out into the street. There are times at which they have less space, they have to
Right.
wait. But the intention is that we don't have competitive signage that's blocking the sidewalk that creates arguably a municipal hazard that the town could be culpable or liable for, and that's why we try to say, okay, well, 5 feet, if we can go for this 5 feet, you know, we can assume that we can maintain as many sidewalks are designed to be 5 feet, so that's, again, it arguably could be a number that's different to your own discretion if you chose to.
Okay. I mean, if it's intended for simultaneous conflicting passage, I mean, some of those strollers that are like side by side strollers, like two of them coming in conflict it's a wide berth, but okay. Thank you.
More questions? Mr. Quintet, question? Mr. Golden?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Jason, sorry, so you just said that the town could be liable for a hazard? Could you expand on that?
So, with this understanding that the town sidewalks are the town's property, arguably the public uses those sidewalks, and you're creating a permissive policy to use the public sidewalks in some fashion. Within this policy right here, it requires a surety bond for those exact reasons. We also require surety bonds when someone hangs a sign over the sidewalk on a blade sign. It's common practice. People use the sidewalks on a number of different issues, but again, you're creating a permissive policy. You've got the surety bond that's associated with it, and you've got a vetted policy that has some universal guidelines that to create some space for people to maintain safety. So I personally, again, I'm not the lawyer, but I think that was the idea, was that we went through multiple layers. We had more than one lawyer look at it on staff. Kate, as well as Labor Council, looking at it and look through the policy. And so they feel comfortable that it doesn't create an opportunity for someone else to create a hazard on town property and make you liable.
Right, but the surety bond would remove that liability from us, right?
I can't speak as a lawyer, so I can tell you that's what
No,
commonly.
I understand. I just, you're the one who brought up that it could present a hazard for us and a liability for us. And I understand that you're not a lawyer, so I just wanted to clarify that. I do have some follow-up questions though. With the temporary signs, like if a real estate agent was hosting an open house, does this pertain to their signs that they would put like at the intersecting streets?
No.
How is that? Can you explain that?
So if the policy in and of itself requires the sign to be located in front of the business,
Okay.
we're giving permission for them to display and again, directly in front of the store. So if happens to be a real estate business displaying, I don't know, some particular sign, and again, it matches the content in the rest of the regulations, then we would give a permit for it. If they violate that, we'd rescind the permit and they wouldn't receive it, and we'd say it's in violation of the zoning bylaw. So it's creating a permissive policy to allow people to do what they're already doing when we go out and tell them they need to stop
Tied to their location.
correctly. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
If I could, Madam Chair, just ask a couple questions about the fee?
Mr. Silva, you'll have a separate little presentation for us on the fee once we take a vote on this?
No, I
Or you'll
don't.
explain it to us, because we're going to be voting on it. Someone needs to go over it, would you?
The fee is a $50 fee. Annual fee, good for 1 year, 12 months, and would be reapplied for every year. So it's a minimal fee. We felt as though we didn't want to create a financial burden, but we needed to cover obviously some costs associated with issuing a permit. So
Okay,
that's it.
good, you can,
Thank you. What are those costs?
We have costs associated with staff issuing the permit. So, yeah, I mean, we could certainly, I haven't sat down and figured out how long it takes for each individual to issue a permit, but I would estimate it takes staff maybe an hour to issue a permit, and then maybe another 2 hours or so for an inspector to go out, check the site. There could be enforcement issues associated with it, so there are, many costs associated with issuing the permit that we have through our department that are, I guess you could say, soft costs.
Those costs wouldn't exist, though, if we didn't institute this policy, correct?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
I guess my point is like, we're now creating costs that didn't previously exist for the business.
This is a service of us issuing a permit to someone that's asking for permission. If you don't want to give them an opportunity to ask for permission, I can send staff out there and tell them it's in violation of the bylaw and remove the sign entirely. That's what we currently have for a regulation.
So,
But that will cost the town nothing.
so will this policy be in conflict with our bylaw?
No, this policy creates a permissive opportunity for commercial businesses to advertise temporary signs in front of their businesses when they currently cannot.
Okay,
And it asks for, you can, if you choose to, make it a zero cost permit, entirely at your discretion. We issue permits and it's a service. We don't cost the taxpayers any dollars at all. If you choose to allow us to issue the permit without a fee, any costs associated, that would be on the burden of the taxpayers. Arguably, if the $50 is, you think in your mind too much, you could lower it. It's again, at your discretion. But inspectional services is in and of itself a service-based department that costs the taxpayers nothing. We work from the fees that we generate, and the $50 fee is just meant to cover the fees associated with the work for the permit.
I think that the cost for the permit and the surety bond are additional burdens placed on businesses. I'm not certain that, given the restrictions on placement of the signs or the costs associated with it, that I'll be able to support this. But I appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you for your presentation.
Absolutely.
I have a couple of questions for you, Jason. So currently, do business owners need to apply for a permit, or are they just putting out signs?
They're just
Yeah.
arguably placing signs without permission.
Okay. But we do have a bylaw that requires that they should be coming to the town to ask permission.
The zoning bylaw allows for this board to create this policy. No board has created this policy in the past, thereby making it not permissible to put a temporary commercial sign out.
Okay. And have we had any concerns from the public about the way the signs are displayed on sidewalks? Have we had any complaints or?
We do. We
issues?
consistently get, and this is something that's dating back from my time here over 20 years. We consistently get complaints, and the foundation of it is that, as an example, you have one clothing store that puts a for sale sign out. And then the clothing store down the street puts another for sale sign out, and now you have competing interests. Now they decide they want to put the sign farther down the street at the intersecting way to lead people in. And so it can be kind of a problem where if we don't address it early, we end up with a whole bunch of signs all over the place. So we'd like to try to get it to it early. Like to try to create some cohesiveness to it so that there's safety, but the business owners can advertise. So last year, as an example, without this policy, we were forced to say, remove all your signs. But in the interest of being permissive, told them to place them flat against the front of their storefronts ask them to please wait patiently for us to come and try to get this policy approved. So right now, I'd assume there's multiple business owners waiting to hear about what's going to happen with this policy so they can find out what they can do to advertise to the people, as an example, coming off the cruise ship, to try to lead them into the center of town. Well, with this sign policy, it could and would create an opportunity for business owners, as an example, down on the waterfront, to connect with business owners uptown through the QR codes to create some sort of business opportunities. Again, it's a reach out from inspectional services to the business owners to say, we're not just here to penalize you, we're here to help you to try and create your business, but we just want to try and create something that's cohesive, that's in the interest of public safety, and that matches the benefits of the public, the business, and the people visiting here.
Okay. Is this common practice in other municipalities?
I'd like to hope so.
Okay, but we don't have any examples of what that might look like. in
No,
other
I
towns.
did look around. We do find some different ways that businesses, that communities are looking at it, but as you're hearing tonight from the board and from what I worked on, everyone has little different ideas on what it should be done, or what it could be done and how it's to be, referenced. And so, I appreciate everyone's different ideas on it. I just want something so that we don't have to go out and keep saying no to everybody.
And then my last question is, you said that you had vetted this with the business community, you vetted the policy, which I really appreciate that we got their input to this prior to presenting it to us. Did you also vet the fee associated with it and the surety bond? I'm just wondering what the feedback was on that.
Yeah, the surety bond is a standard one that we see on the signs, and so we've kind of, again, legal counsel looked at that and said that that matches and works well. The $50 fee is really what I look at as the minimum that we have related to it. So it's, we charge more than that for a residential zoning permit. We charge $100 for a residential zoning permit, just if you want to put a shed up as an example. So it's about the bare minimum. I did feel that it would be in the spirit of the permit to keep the fee down to a place where it's not viewed from these business owners as penalizing, and that they would happily pay the fee to be able to put a sign out as opposed to having someone harass them and say you need a permit.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and then just to follow up on Mr. Cohen's comment about the importance of communicating this effectively, would there be an opportunity to perhaps partner with the chamber to have them help get the word out on this and encourage businesses to take advantage?
I think so. I think if something, whatever comes out of this evening, I think, again, I would be reaching back out to the chamber to try to hopefully say to them, hey, we've got something now. Can we reach out to historic? Can we find something that maybe they can produce an A-frame style or a sign, as an example, that they can purchase on their own for reduced cost that creates uniformity that the historic endorses. And that's where I think there is more opportunity to take this and continue and hopefully create more community out of the signs.
Okay, great. Okay, that's all I have. More questions, Mr. Canty?
So you touched upon it briefly, but the surety, the $1,000, you said it's consistent with other signs? Like what other signs?
So when we have a sign that hangs out over the sidewalk, like a blade sign,
Okay.
there's a surety that's required when they get that sign permit.
And do you know what the basis of it being $1,000 versus being another number is?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? Do I have a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we approve the temporary commercial sign permit policy.
Okay, do I have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, discussion? Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I'd just like to see a more fulsome presentation on this. I think there are outstanding questions. I'd like to know what the ADA requirements are for sidewalks. I'd like to have the authorizing bylaw in front of us so we could compare it to what's actually happening out in the community versus what it says in our bylaw, versus what that bylaw empowers us to do. And lastly, I would like to see our town council present to be able to answer some of the legal questions that Mr. Silva wasn't able to answer here tonight. So I won't be able to support this motion. I'm not necessarily against having a policy. I'd just like to see all of our questions answered before it moves forward. Thank you.
Additional discussion. Mr. Canty?
I think the responses we've received make it so that I can support the policy being proposed. I do know I have also received a lot of complaints as well as seen some of the difficulty created by some of these sandwich board signs, and we've also had businesses that are just putting out unauthorized tables irrespective of the outdoor dining and just other obstructions. That the sidewalk is supposed to be a right-of-way for pedestrians of different mobility abilities, and as opposed to an additional advertising space. Allowing some advertising within that space that maintains the right-of-way, I think is reasonable, but I think surrendering the public right-of-way for further commercialization is not the right solution. I think that on balance, that's inequitable to the community as opposed to a narrowly tailored policy, which I believe this accomplishes as written. So I will be supporting it this evening.
Thank you. Additional discussion? Mr. Cohen?
I will also be supporting this initiative. Thank you very much for putting this together. Obviously, right now, we don't have this level of coverage for the town. Your engagement with the local businesses in your efforts to your outreach once this gets moving is something that will be beneficial to our downtown. We're entering into the busiest time of the year. This is where the businesses in downtown Plymouth are going to be at the greatest exposure to drive the greatest revenue. So obviously, we're a day tripping destination, a tourist destination. We want to be helping the businesses achieve this level of advertising and outreach to the residents that are the visitors who are passing by. So I think it benefits the town on a multitude of levels. And in the past, we've had situations where it's been kind of a wild west out there on the streets of Plymouth with different things appearing. I think we all know an old time photo, the large mannequin with the boa leaning up against the building for many years. Even though it was very entertaining, it was right on the sidewalk there without any regulation. So now we have it. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to supporting it.
I would just add that I think that this policy would greatly enhance the business environment by bringing some continuity and consistency to the look and feel of the facades that we have in all of our business districts. I also think that, you know, if there is something in this policy that for some reason has some unintended consequence, we can revisit it at another time. This isn't anything that's cast in stone. We don't have to go through, you know, any jump through hoops to get the change made. So I too would support this policy. So with that, I will, unless there's any additional discussion, I'll call for a vote. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Quintel?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
No.
And myself, yes, the motion carries. Thank you. So now I will entertain a motion to approve the $50 fee for permitting.
So moved.
I will second.
Second, discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Golden?
No.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Quintel?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
And myself, yes, that motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Select Board. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jason. Moving right along, we are now going to make an appointment to the Conservation Commission. I just want to clarify that this appointment is to fill a vacancy that was unexpectedly, a position that was unexpectedly vacant In a couple of weeks, we will be making additional appointments to the Conservation Commission and a number of other committees as per our usual annual reappointment process. But this is a sort of a special election to fill this vacancy as soon as possible so that the commission can continue to do its work with no challenges of quorum or things like that. So I know that there was a lot of questions about that for this particular appointment, so I just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on that. Mr. Canty.
So while we're clarifying, are these applicants that applied, my understanding, that they would have been applicants that applied for the anticipated vacancies in June or reappointments in June, as opposed to they didn't apply when we received the resignation, right? So if individuals on this slate were not appointed this evening, they would still be live applicants, assuming they still want to be considered for the appointments in June, correct? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, get started here. First up, we have Nicholas Bryant. Is Nicholas in the house? Would you like to come up to the podium, Mr. Bryant? Just introduce yourself for the record and give us a brief overview of why you would like to serve on the Conservation Commission.
Hi, good evening. Nicholas Bryant, Bartlett Road, Plymouth. For the last nearly 30 years, I've been surveying. Started out in Plymouth, worked up in Boston. I had the pleasure of working under Randy Parker my first couple of years. And, spent those couple of years running up and down the bluffs of Manomet, doing those revetment surveys. Went up to Boston, BSC Group, heavy permitting firm. So exposed to a lot of different aspects of wetlands and whatnot, whether it was coastal zone management, wetland buffers, and wetland mitigation. So I just feel like I have unique exposure to it, whether it's dealing with a homeowner trying to do a deck or a builder trying to do a subdivision. I understand kind of both where they're coming from, and not looking to pave the town, not looking to make it all green, just kind of be a voice of reason that could see both sides of what a Concom is meant to do.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Canty.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Is there anything that the Conservation Commission is currently doing that you'd like to see them continue doing if you were to be appointed, or anything that they're not doing that you'd like to see them start doing if you were to be appointed?
I haven't necessarily seen things that I agree or disagree with. I just would like to be somebody, a welcoming face. I feel like a lot of people go in front of the Concom and they're nervous on, where they're going to lie with their presentation. So I think if you just, you walk in there and you're kind of following the rules and, it's a yay and nay thing. I just want to be like that welcoming face.
Okay. And if you were not appointed to the seat this evening, there will be two vacancies there's two positions that are up for either reappointment or appointment, depending on whether the current applicants apply. Would you still be interested in being considered for one of those positions? Or
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Additional questions? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Thanks.
All right, next up is Love Albrecht Howard.
Good evening, Madam Chair and gentlemen. I am Love Albrecht Howard, and I'm a landscape designer and building contractor, and I have operated my own business for over 30 years. My experience is directly relevant to my application to serve on Plymouth Conservation Commission. Conservation has always been central to my work and remains one of my greatest passions. I am a certifiable plant geek, and I possess substantial knowledge about both native plants and non-native invasives that grow in and around wetlands. As my cover letter to you all stated, I have successfully worked under conservation order of conditions on over 90 projects in 26 municipalities in Massachusetts, And I actually just took on a lakeside property in Maine, so I'm now learning about their regulations and methods for shoreline and water resource protection. Additionally, we live on a pond, we live on Long Pond, which has deepened my appreciation for the importance of and fragility of every coastline, whether it is freshwater or salt. Wetlands are vital in safeguarding our ground and surface waters and maintaining the health and functionality of our environment. And Plymouth's sole source aquifer is yet another reason to remain vigilant about protecting our water resources. I am familiar with the Wetlands Protection Act, and I truly believe in what the Act and Plymouth's wetlands rules and regulations are all working to protect our crucial water resources. Wetlands are among the most productive and valuable ecosystems on the earth. They are home to an extraordinary diversity of plant and animal life, and they provide irreplaceable benefits to us all, making their health and protection a priority to protect our health. Our wetlands are essential for a sustainable future. To be prepared to serve, I have started taking courses through the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissioners. A commission educated to state standards is key to optimally protect our water resources here, as well as throughout the Commonwealth. I sincerely hope for the opportunity to serve Plymouth on our Conservation Commission. I promise you all I'll hit the ground running, and I thank you all very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Now we'll take some questions from the board. Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Is there anything that the Conservation Commission is currently doing that you'd like to see them continue doing if you were to be appointed, or anything that they're not doing that you'd like to see them start doing?
I feel that they're actually a very welcoming Conservation Commission, and so it's one of the few Conservation Commissions where people don't look like they're trembling in their boots when they come in the door. So that's a wonderful thing for people to come in and feel comfortable, both the applicant and their representative, if they have a representative. What I would like to see them stop doing is treating our regulations and some of the bylaws as guidelines or suggestions, because many of these are regulations, they are laws, and we should be protecting it. So I would like to see them ascribe to our regulations.
Okay. And if you were not to be appointed to this position this evening, would you still like to be considered for one of the two positions that will come up in June?
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes, two questions. One, on the line of the questions that Mr. Canty asked and your answer to it, obviously we have these regulations. There's a letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and sitting on a board or commission. Can you speak to that experience as it relates to the decisions you'll have to make?
Not sure I understand the question. Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Okay, sorry. How's that?
Thank you.
I was just building on what Mr. Canty had asked in your answer in terms of the regulations and how they're to be implemented. There is, having served on a few of these boards in the past, you always had the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, trying to balance the two. Can you speak a little to that, about
Certainly.
how that might be?
There are two regulations that we have in Plymouth. One is a 35-foot no-touch zone, and the other is a 50-foot no-build zone. That doesn't leave a whole lot for misinterpretation. No touch means no touch, and no build means no building within that first 50 feet, and that's to protect the water resources. In the last several years, those have been taken as guidelines. So there is building in the no-touch zone, there is building in the build zone, and that is a direct contrast to what the state is hoping for and for what Plymouth wanted for our rules and regulations, because these water resources are something not just for that person who sits on the pond or the water, it's to protect the water resources for all of us.
You indicated that you can you hear me?
That I am what?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you indicated that you were open to taking the class that the
Yes, I've taken two so far, and
You've already
I want to continue to take them even if I don't get selected for conservation.
I just-
It helps me in my work.
Just wanted to note that you've already started taking the class. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Howard.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Lucia McLaughlin. Ms. McLaughlin here? Nope, is she online? Okay, well, maybe she'll come back. In the meantime, we will move on. Joanne Elizabeth Mogilnicki, you're going to have to check me on that. I have a tough last name too, so I know how it is. Did I say
Hi.
it correctly?
I'm Joanne Mogilnicki.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm an educator, but my reason for applying for this position, I was encouraged to, and also Plymouth is a beautiful town. I've lived in Rehoboth and Attleboro and down in Florida, and I've seen what a lot of building can do to change the character and nature and of a place. And I think Plymouth has some real, it's just a gem of it has a lot of natural resources in this area that you don't find anywhere else. And they're being bit by bit just picked at, destroyed, dug out, built on. And I would like to see the Conservation Commission supported more in their work in following, as Love had said, and that was a great presentation, by the way, and just enforcing these laws and working with builders and with homeowners in compromising, but not destroying what we have as our natural resources, our sole source aquifer, our pine barrens, our uplands, our coastal areas, our marshes. They need protecting, and I think the Concom is a voice for those environmental regions that need to, the town of Plymouth needs to just treasure them, because once they're gone, they're gone.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Ms.
Mogilnicki.
Thank you.
My students call me Mogs.
Okay. Is there anything that the Plymouth Conservation Commission is currently doing that you'd like to see them keep doing if you were to be appointed, or anything that they're not doing that you'd like to see them start doing?
I'm very grateful for the work of the Conservation Commission, and I just would like to see them have more, I guess, more support in following the laws, the bylaws that they are, the book that they have to work by. I think there's a lot of pressures going on that maybe gets in the way. So I would like to see, just these laws enforced, and I think the Concom's doing a great job, and I would like to help out and be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. And if you were not to be appointed this evening, would you still like to be considered for one of the 2 appointment opportunities in June for this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say, I do have experience with wetlands and uplands, and I'm a hiker, and I'm an avid observer of nature, and I don't have the knowledge that Love has, but I would be willing to take the classes and be trained. And I've lived on water near water most of my life, have worked with Concom in other towns that I've lived in, and with the current commission as well. They've been very supportive. I live near the Ellisville Marsh. So I just wanted to add that in the consideration of my application. Thank you.
Go away.
Oh, you want?
Well, quick question.
Mr. Cohen?
Quick question.
Yes.
So Ellisville Harbor, there's a marsh there, but it's also a little harbor
Yeah,
there.
the state park, yes.
The state park, but I just wanted to make note. I noticed on your resume, you indicated that you had been working in the summers at the crossover in Long Beach, obviously working with natural resources as an employee at the
That's
town.
correct,
Okay,
yeah.
so in that experience, you must see the balance of people wanting to enjoy outdoor resources, but also the balance of those, the environmental sensitivity of these locations. We don't want to, destroy what we love. And
Right.
obviously, working in this capacity during the summer's months, you've been exposed to this balance. And I mentioned it to the previous applicant about the idea of the spirit of the law and the letter of the law and trying to find a balance. Do you feel comfortable with that? Do you think your experiences already working with the town at Long Beach might give you some insight on how to balance that?
I think so, yeah. I think raising awareness and, I mean, people that want to use the area of the beach where the plovers are nesting, and I guess some of them have just hatched, and they seem to be right near the road right now. So some people are like, yay, and some people are like, oh, it figures it's right near the road. So they're going to have to do some closures. But I think, I'm not sure how you can appease the people that, feel their rights to the beach is their sovereign right, as opposed to the birds having the rights to, procreate and thrive. But I think finding that balance is very important, and using the letter of the law to do so is, I think, perhaps the only way to do that. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, last but not least, we have Hampton Watkins. I do not see Mr. Watkins in the room. Is he online?
He's not, but he had intended to be.
Does
Maybe he's under Sustainable Plymouth. Hold on.
does not appear to be. Is that him?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, hello, Mr. Watkins.
Hello, Madam Chair. Gentlemen,
We are ready for you.
thank you. Hampton Watkins, Precinct 15, 10 Bridgegate. I am applying to the recently vacated position for a one-year term. If I am not appointed to this term, and you have some real choices to make here, and I'm pleased by that, I would be interested in being reconsidered at the next opportunity. I participate in a number of committees in town, and I am very much interested in joining the Conservation Commission. Like Ms. Howard and Mose, if I may, I will commit to the MACC coursework that's needed, and in fact, I'll commit to complete it during this first one-year term so that I get MACC certified. I own property on Round Pond, which I have owned and been enjoying for the past 20 years, or 19 years actually. And I would like to make sure that all of the ponds in Plymouth are as well taken care of as those in the Six Ponds area. I have got 4 grandchildren, and I will work for the town, but I'll work especially hard for them. They're all Plymouth residents and in Plymouth schools currently, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions about my qualifications or background.
Questions? Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Hampton, for joining us from 3/4 of the way across the country. Is there anything that the Conservation Commission is currently doing that you'd like to see them continue doing if you were to be appointed, or anything that they're not doing that you would like to see them start doing?
Yes, I think that Ms. Howard pointed out earlier that there has been a sort of a lax treatment of the 35-foot no-touch zone. And that is something that I would very much like to see maintained, as a gentleman who was on the Conservation Commission many years ago, Frank Drolet. Frank would say, "What do you not understand about no touch? No touch means no touch." I am very much interested in protecting particularly our freshwater properties, and those that are having challenges nowadays. The other things that I would like to see is working with between conservation and environmental affairs, environmental resources, natural resources in particular, on education initiatives to make citizens aware of the value of natural resources. Those are two suggestions that I would make, and I would initially, I think, spend the first year learning more about the actual activities of the commission, though I've been attending meetings on a frequent basis, and you may have seen me depart the select board meetings to make the 7 o'clock Concom meetings on Tuesdays. But I think that those are two things in particular that I would like to work with in the coming years.
Okay, and you already answered my other question, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Mr. Cohen? You good? Okay, everyone's good? All right, Jade, has Ms. McLaughlin come back on? Oh, sorry, yep, Mr. Canty.
Can I ask Mr. Bryant an additional question?
Sure, Mr. Bryant.
So, thank you, Mr. Bryant. So I wasn't going to ask this because we haven't decided whether we're going to require this or not, but since all the other applicants volunteered that they're going to take the MACC certification, if you were to be appointed, would you commit to taking that certification?
Absolutely. So I actually started looking into it. And when you look at their current curriculum through July, they don't offer any of the classes that are required for the certification. That is their, their curriculum. So I have been a long advocate of having knowledge when you're judging other people's ability to do what they're going to do. So I think, it's decent to be a layman, but you should be knowledgeable in what you're actually acting upon. I am absolutely in favor of education or requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Judge, Ms. McLaughlin, we still don't have her. Okay, well, maybe she'll be able to make the next appointment when we look at the other two seats. Okay, it's now time to take the vote. So I will ask each of my board members to, first of all, I'll ask for this, if there's discussion. Okay, no, so now I can ask for the vote. Okay. I'm still in a little bit of a learning curve here, so forgive me. Okay, I will now ask each of my board members for their choice in candidate for this seat, starting with Mr. Golden.
I'll vote for Mr. Nicholas Bryant.
Okay, Mr. Canty.
Hampton Watkins.
Okay, Mr. Quintal.
I gotta say, we've had real good candidates, that's for sure.
I know.
All of them, actually. But I'm gonna go with Nicholas Bryant.
Okay, Mr. Cohen.
I'll be going with Hampton Watkins.
Okay, and I echo Mr. Quintal's comment that these candidates are all one better than the other. So it's a really difficult decision, but it's only made easier by knowing that we'll see all of you again in a couple of weeks. So I too will cast my vote for Mr. Bryant. So Mr. Bryant, you are the newest member of the Conservation Commission. Congratulations. And you will need to be sworn in by the town clerk as soon as you are able. And for the others, we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Moving on to a discussion of our On the Road program. So just for a brief introduction, this was a program that Mr. Canty introduced last year, and it was very popular with a lot of our residents. So tonight, we're going to revisit the On the Road program, and Mr. Canty is going to lead us through a discussion of of what the program is and some suggestions on how we might implement it this year. Mr. Canty, I was wondering, we will be taking a vote on this. I'm wondering if we should consider taking two votes, one on whether or not we continue the program and the other on, the format for the program, the night of the week that we have it and that sort of discussion. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
So I did provide a memorandum to my colleagues, which is included in our packet about On the Road. Last year, we started it. We did 4 over the summer months, 1 in June, 1 in July, 1 in August, 1 in September. Then we ramped into fall town meeting mode, so we had to take a break from going on the road. And then in between fall town meeting and spring town meeting ramp up, we were able to do 2 more on the roads in November and December. The meetings were very well attended. They were able to allow residents to ask questions directly of their elected officials and get direct responses, which I think was meaningful. I think even just being there was meaningful for folks. I think that certain areas of the town in particular felt uniquely disconnected from the operations of 26 Court Street. And I think that coming to their neighborhoods on a Tuesday night and spending our time listening to them made a huge difference in restoring, I think, a lack of trust that had been building up in some areas of the community, and a feeling of a lack of attention in a lot of areas of the community, that they were being paid by us on the select board and by town government more broadly. Last year, I had selected going in Cedarville first and then going from the farthest from Town Hall and then closer. So we did Cedarville, South Elementary, South Middle, Manomet, then West Plymouth, then North Plymouth. So Cedarville was the farthest from Town Hall, North Plymouth was the closest, and that was the order of operations. But I did notice last year doing Cedarville, South Elementary, and then South High, that by the time we got to South High, there were fewer people there than I would have expected. And I think it was because of the close geography of those individual meetings to each other. Having said that, the first question we did get in Cedarville was about the West Plymouth Airport. So people were willing to travel to these meetings to ask their questions of us. But I think when I was reconsidering like the future of this program, I do think that going on a Tuesday night is imperative because I think it demonstrates our commitment to our constituents and the willingness to hear from them and answer their questions and show them the respect that they deserve. And we have historically in years past, as I've outlined in this memo, particularly in the summer, we used to be on a summer schedule. We used to meet 2 or 3 times a month, not 4 times a month in a 4-week month. So we weren't lacking on town business. We were adding an additional meeting on a Tuesday to reach out to our residents and hear from them. But I do think that instead of going from the farthest location and working inwards, my suggestion this year would be, and I did include a chart detailing the relative distances between the meetings, and Cedarville continues to be the farthest from Town Hall, so I would suggest we still start there. But then instead of going to South Elementary next, which is only 5.3 miles from the Cedarville Community Room, that we instead go to the farthest location from Cedarville, which would be West Elementary at 15.3 miles. Then South Elementary at 14.4 from West, Cold Spring at 12.2 from South Elementary, Plymouth South High School at 10.4 miles from Cold Spring, and then Manomet Elementary, which is 7.2 miles from Plymouth South High. So we do be doing the same locations. They've already been site visited by the local scene. We already have a plan of how to run the meeting there. All the meetings worked well. There were some slight technical issues at South Elementary in relation to the sound system. But after that, they brought their own PAC TV, local scene, brought their own dedicated sound system that corrected that issue, which was specific to that location and would not reoccur as long as they continue to bring that equipment. But I think this would cover the community in a more efficient path to allow more people to get to and on the road within a reasonable time in their neighborhoods in an efficient pattern. So that's my request, is that we continue it, that we keep it on a Tuesday, because I will be proposing separately to remove some other items from our Tuesday meetings, like committee appointments outside of the regular. That's a separate agenda item. That's something we've talked about as a board, is like freeing up some time for us to focus on policy and decisions and the budget and other things that we want to prioritize. But I do think that hearing from residents is imperative. And I think we were able to correct like local issues with intersections, sidewalks, testing at the Cedarville landfill, like stuff that made a difference to people. And I think that we were only able to do that by showing them the respect of coming to their neighborhood, breathing their air, drinking their water, and listening to what they had to say. So I would like to continue doing it, keep it on a Tuesday, but suggest a different order of meetings in order to cover the community in a slightly different way and hopefully maintain consistent high turnout throughout.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Canty. You ready for some questions?
I am.
Okay, questions for Mr. Canty? Mr. Quintal?
That was a beautiful presentation. That being said, when you started this a year ago, we couldn't even discuss it. So I'm glad we are discussing it tonight. And I said before, and I'll say it again tonight, our business on Tuesday belongs in this building. It's nice you like to go on the road, so do I. Why does it have to be a Tuesday? Why can't it be Wednesday? Because you don't like that?
Okay, other questions?
I'll respond to the question that I was asked. So I think it should be on a Tuesday, Mr. Quintal, because that is when the select board meets. And if we're going to have a select board meeting and go into neighborhoods and hear from residents, we should be doing it on our regular night. And we have the capacity in our schedule to accommodate it. We did it last year and we're able to maintain the town's business. And particularly if we removed some of the admin functions off of Tuesdays and into another meeting, and then freeing up our time to focus on our big issues and our little issues, like intersections and community concerns and policies and the budget. I think that would be a better use of our time. I think that moving it from a Tuesday, at least to me, would be a sign that these on-the-road meetings are less important to us, and that we're like getting them out of the way, as opposed to prioritizing the concerns of our residents in their neighborhoods and their community. So,
Well, that's totally not where I'm coming from. So let me just start with how I rebuttal to that. Okay, the reason I want to stay in this building is we have staff right there, right here. We have PAC television. We spent $51 million for this building. Tuesday, we can come here. We can go any part of the community. We can go twice a week. I'll go with you. We don't need to be bringing PAC TV. We don't need to be, we can go meet with the citizens if that's your concern. And I duly believe it is, that we can do that, meeting with the citizens on a regular basis, anytime. And furthermore, I meet with any resident anytime in this community when they call me. So it's not because nobody can get a hold of me. And I do support the idea. I'm just hoping we could do it on another night. We have liquor licenses that people have to have advertised hearings. And yes, it can be done, but you're inconveniencing the people that we're supposed to be servicing. That's my point. And yes, if we take this off and we take that off, is exactly my point. The only way you're gonna fit it in is to take things off. That's why we didn't spend a whole lot of time on the budget. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on things we should have been. And this is my personal feeling, and you're welcome to disagree with that. But I just want to be very clear, because there's little rumors out there that I didn't want to go here or there. I'll go anywhere. But I believe on Tuesday, it's better for this community, we do our business here. If you want to add another night, I'll go, I'll support it, but not on Tuesday.
Mr. Canty?
So last year, we spent more time on the budget than this board has ever spent on the budget, and we are planning on spending additional time on that in the years ahead. We were able to do that while accommodating 6 on-the-road meetings last year without a meeting to relieve pressure on Tuesdays for things like appointments, ceremonies, and informational presentations, which is a separate presentation that will be heard separately. But I think past performance has demonstrated that we 100% can accommodate this in our schedule on Tuesdays. It was very successful. People thought it made a meaningful difference in their neighborhoods and communities, and villages rather. And I think it is imperative that we continue it as we started it, because it's been working well. And we moved as necessary at the beginning last year. We did move a couple hearings to just a different Tuesday. And if you have this schedule well in advance, you just don't schedule those hearings for that particular night. If it's we can approve admin notes on an on-the-road, we just don't have the public discussion. Thank you.
Other questions? No, Mr. Cohen?
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Mr. Quintel, for your insight. I value everyone's input on this matter, but I do see an opportunity to bring the select board in their activities when they go into session to the people. So I think that there's a benefit of bringing our Tuesday night meeting to a different neighborhood, that it's an actual meeting and that we're here, that we feel as if their concerns in that part of town are valuable enough to be part of that process. So I do believe taking the select board meetings to the people might be beneficial, should be beneficial. The one thing I would like to make a component of this concept about what days we go out. Do we go out to rotate the Tuesday or another day during the week where we have another meeting to accommodate those things that you speak of, appointments, ceremonial activities. I do think we need to increase our meeting schedule to tackle the workload that this committee is going to see in the next year. So I would like to see an added night for the select board. What night, I'd defer to the pleasure of the board. But I do believe that putting together a schedule and sending it out to get input, and this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about, was that if we do go on the road and we do go into a neighborhood, I'd like to do some homework before we go into those neighborhoods, meaning that we reach out to the committee of precinct chairs, to reach out to the steering committees and the town meeting members to get their input. So if we are going to go out into these neighborhoods, we have an agenda that has been influenced by the neighborhood that we're going to visit. So I would just add to Mr. Canty's proposal this idea of reaching out to the town meeting members from that precinct, to reach out to the steering committee to that area of town, to get input. Though as we build our agenda to go into these neighborhoods, we have an idea of what their priorities are, and then the agenda should be filled with. There should be a component there of action items as a result of these meetings. So if we go into a neighborhood and they have these priorities and we speak to them, I would like to see some follow-up to that. So if we can make that part of the agenda process, I think that going into these neighborhoods would be that much more effective. But that's my thought process on it.
That's a great suggestion, Mr. Cohen. I think we started to do that towards the end. I think you had raised that as a very good suggestion last year. So, but I think we can probably do a more proactive job in pulling together a more meaningful agenda for those meetings. So thank you for bringing that forward. We can talk about the content of it once we vote on whether we're going to continue them and what night we'll have them on. Other questions? Nope. Do I have a motion? And let's take a motion on whether we wish to continue doing the on the roads, absent whatever night they happen to be on. We'll do that as a separate motion. Do you have a motion for that?
I make a motion that we continue the town hall on the road initiative.
Second?
Okay, second, okay. Discussion? Nope. Hearing and seeing none, I'll take the vote. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Quintel?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Motion carries. We will continue having on the roads. Now we will take a motion for the night of the week that we wish to have it. And what we've talked about is continuing to have them on Tuesday night as, truly bringing the select board on the road or moving it to another night. Mr. Canty.
I make a motion that Town Hall on the Road continue to occur on Tuesdays.
Okay, second?
I will second that, but do we need to amend the motion that, are we going to add another night to the month?
No, no.
I can answer that.
Oh, okay.
So that I'm gonna be separately proposing
Okay.
to add a night for like appointments.
Yep.
Informational
Okay.
ceremonies. I'm thinking that a Thursday would make sense for that, but that'll be a separate
Okay.
proposal.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah,
That'll be on a future agenda item.
yes.
Future, but soon. Discussion? I have something I'd like to add to this. We got a number of emails directed towards the select board from residents encouraging us to continue the on the roads and expressing how much they appreciated them and how valuable they were. Knowing that we were going to also have a discussion on the night of the week, I did reach back out to the people that provided that input and asked if they would have a preference. Do they see what are the pros and cons of having it on a Tuesday night versus another night during the week? And of all of the responses that I got, I would say 99% of them were in support of us continuing to have them on Tuesday night. And I'm just going to read you a couple of them. I think in some ways, the meetings must have official status and embed the powers of the select board. If it was just a listening session, then it may devalue its importance. At the same time, it need not follow the same format or content of a town hall meeting. As a practical matter, what makes the meeting official? So we can continue to hear reports from other officials and committees. We can continue to do some deliberation in those meetings too, in addition to hearing from the residents. Another comment that I thought was pretty relevant, it says, I think that it is important for the residents to hear and see what the select board does during a regular meeting. Most residents, at least in my neighborhood, never attend or watch select board meetings. Conducting regular Tuesday business and including listening to neighborhood concerns makes it formal and not just puffy public relations. We did have one commenter that said, I think listening to the community would be better than hearing a working select board meeting. Given how much work comes before the select board, you probably don't want to cancel scheduled meetings. So there was, one or two people that had that sentiment, but the vast majority do really appreciate having the experience of a select board meeting in their community. So I just wanted to read those comments into the record as evidence of what the community is looking for us to do as well. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we spent a lot of time over the last 12 months deciding processes that don't necessarily need a public debate. I truthfully am amenable to these meetings occurring on any night. I trust the chair to schedule them, so I'll leave it to the discretion of the chair. That would be my preference.
And we've already started working with staff to think about if this motion carried, when we might be able to have the first one, and then how to schedule them so that we don't interfere with the, I know we have a lot on our agendas over the summer, probably more so than we have in past summers, and leading into the fall. So we want to make sure that we prioritize that work at all times. That doesn't mean that the on-the-board meetings are not are less important than anything else we do, but we are working up against some deadlines with town meeting and other decisions that we need to make. So we will be prioritizing town business wherever we can, but we'll get these scheduled in a very timely way. Okay, more discussion? Okay, I will call for the vote then. Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Quintel,
No,
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Golden,
For the reasons I stated prior, no.
and myself, yes. So the motion carries. So we'll continue to do the on-the-road program, and we will continue to hold that on Tuesday nights. Thank you all. Okay, I believe that completes our agenda proper. We will now move into the manager's report. Mr. Brindisi.
Could I just, one quick question?
Sure.
Madam Chair. So we've seen sometimes that our meetings get disrupted. If one of these meetings gets canceled, are we pushing it to another Tuesday night, or is the board amenable to letting the chair reschedule to the next most logical date?
What do you, when you say disrupted?
So like if we were to have a storm, for example, this may not be the case over the course of the summer, but if we continue these into the winter and we have a snowstorm and the meeting gets disrupted, or we could have a weather event in the summertime that takes out power in the building, for example. If it was scheduled to be a Tuesday night and, the Cedarville, community rooms without power, could the chair then move it to the following Thursday or another night off Tuesday?
I mean, my thought process as the maker of the motion would be the default night is a Tuesday, but if there is a force majeure or something of that nature, then a rescheduling would be as appropriate. We probably, in that instance, would want to delay it enough to re-advertise it,
Sure.
since it is a community outreach
Yep.
initiative, but in order to accommodate that in our schedule, because we'd have a Tuesday meeting that week. Right. Yeah, I think that would be in the spirit of the motion. as I made it.
So you're open to another night if
Yeah,
we
Tuesday's
have
the
a disruption.
default, and a disruption is rescheduled as needed.
Fine with me.
Yep. Good. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Mr. Golden. Okay. Now we can move into the manager's report.
Great. I just have a few items to report this evening. Some of them are deadlines that are due. And I think it's really important for folks to be aware. So first and foremost, CPC applications are due this Friday. So those organizations, those boards or committees, those departments that plan to submit an application to the Community Preservation Committee, just know they're due on this Friday. Those applications will be heard over the summer in preparation for fall town meeting. Real estate and personal property taxes, the demands were issued on May 18th. And we're coming up the deadline for those demand payments to be made. Those payments are now due on June 2nd. So again, any outstanding real estate and personal property taxes that are due, those are now due on June 2nd. And the same can be said for the fourth quarter water bills. Water and sewer bills are also due on June 1st. I just want to remind folks that the federal furnace mill and overlay project will begin tomorrow. That's 4 miles. That's going to take a few weeks to complete. We've already set up the signboards out there to warn people that the travel will be slow over the next couple of weeks in federal furnace. And then, as I reported last week, the chip seal will start this week as well. And then I just want to move over to the Department of Energy and Environment. So we've all know that the piping plovers, have, been at Long Beach for many decades now. But then about 3 years ago, we found 2 nests at Whitehorse Beach, and our Natural Resources Division has been monitoring those nests over the last couple summers. This summer, they report that there are now 3 nests, so the population is growing at Whitehorse Beach. We are expecting challenges as we have the last couple summers during the July 3rd festivities. So I'll be working very closely with the Director of Department of Energy and Environment so that we can forecast those challenges and we can communicate with the public what the do's and don'ts will be this 4th of July season over at Whitehorse Beach because of the 3 nests. So more to come on that. And I also, since we are talking about Mr. Gould received an award from the Buzzards Bay Coalition. He was the 2026 Buzzards Bay Guardian Award. So congratulations for David. We all know the great work that he does in this community over the last many decades. So the Buzzards Bay Coalition certainly recognized all that work and presented him with the Guardian Award just last week. And then last, I just want to thank Roxanne Whitbeck and Dennis Russell. So yesterday was the Memorial Day event. Typically, it's a parade, but because the forecast was unpredictable, Roxanne and Dennis moved very quickly. They were able to host, in my mind, a great Memorial Day event inside Memorial Hall. So thank you, Roxanne, and thank you, Dennis, for being able to pull this together in such a quick fashion. So pending any questions, that's all I have for this evening.
Questions for the town manager? Mr. Cullen?
Thank you, Derek. I'd just like to add to the Memorial Hall experience. Obviously, usually we have our parade that moves through town, but this, because of the rain delay, the rain conditions, we had the Memorial Day services within Memorial Hall. I think being there in Memorial Hall and seeing the community come together, I had a chance to arrive early and see as they kind of organized the event. It really is an impressive building to see people come together and work together. You start to see the original design of the building, what it was originally set up for, and that was a memorial building for hosting community events. Obviously, it's the 21st century, and we have a lot of different events there, and we need to balance those events with the community events in which the primary purpose of the building was built. But I just wanted to thank all the staff and all the branches of the service that worked together to put on a very nice memorial service, and also the bands that played, the Plymouth High School Band, and all the other participants. So thank you very much.
In regards to the CPC applications, something that had wanted us to explore is if CPC isn't going to be performing or hearing, rather, I should say, affordable housing project related applications, I think it would be beneficial if the town submitted articles to have CPC put money into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund from their fund. If CPC is going to be building or using funds to build affordable housing in the community, then have at it. But just in the instance that they're not going to be generating additional affordable housing in this cycle, having some money going from them into the Affordable Housing Trust, I think would be beneficial. And I don't know if we have a sense yet of whether they are entertaining applications related to affordable housing, but I think that would be a prudent way to make sure that we're continuing. So it's either they're conducting affordable housing work or reviewing the possibility for that, or they're reviewing putting money into the Affordable Housing Trust for future affordable housing needs in the community. Do you have any, I don't expect you to have that insight right now, but is that something that you could follow up on? And
Yeah, I'm happy to follow up on that. I haven't talked to Kristen Ford relative to the applications. I did hear that there would, in all likelihood, be an application for one affordable project.
Okay.
But other than that, that's the only thing I've been told. I think they're going to wait till the application period closes.
Okay.
And then make that determination. But yeah, I'm happy to talk to Kristen, and Mr. Cohan certainly is the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, as we all know. And, I think it would make sense if they file a request to CPC to transfer at least the 10% in affordable housing bucket over to the trust.
Yeah, or an
That makes
amount
sense.
that, I know that they're trying to pay down authorized funding, so I know CPC is, dealing with some other issues as well in relation to that, but just to make sure that we're constantly at least contributing something towards affordable housing in the community.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes, so I serve on as your liaison to the CPC and on to the Housing Trust. So I'm familiar with both entities' track record and capabilities. There's an application process. The statute's pretty clear that you have to put aside 10% for housing, historical open space, and the open space has a subcomponent of recreational. I think that if the Housing Trust has some interest what they should be doing, and I'm familiar with their application process and where they are right now. They just recently revamped their application process, and they're starting to reach out to different elements in the community within the town to see how they can be more effective, reaching out to possible applicants to their grant process, but it does bring attention to their funding sources, which is coming through the permitting process, but the CPA could be a funding source. I think what we want to do is probably not for this town meeting, but a future town meeting to consider what might come of it. I've always thought that the best thing to do is to go to town meeting with project-specific request. So if you're going to town meeting and you're asking for CPC funding, you want to attach that to a specific project. We've done that in the past with the Housing Trust, where we set up a funding source to help individuals renovate property in downtown Plymouth, where there might be a business on the first floor, an apartment on the second floor. But so we've looked at different times. What I'll do is I'll bring it back to the Housing Trust and back to the CPC of your comments about how we might proceed in the near future. But I think that right now for Springtown meetings, Fall Town meeting, I guess we do have until August, so I guess it's still on the table, but I'll take your comments to each of the boards.
Mr. Canty?
And yeah, and even if if that initiative that you're talking about that Affordable Housing Trust is doing, if that's going to involve any type of expenses, like with marketing or outreach, like maybe that could be a project-specific component that you're requesting. But just, as long as we're moving the needle, I don't really care the specifics, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Any additional questions for Mr. Brindisi? Okay, let's move on to Select Board discussion, new business. Mr. Cohen?
New business. So there's a press release going out by the town of Plymouth inviting the residents and the community and board members to Saturday, June 27th, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Town Square. There's going to be a 250th commencement in front of the 1749 courthouse. So there's a press release going out. Earlier tonight, it was mentioned at public comment, but the word is getting out there. It's going to be an interesting program. So I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to June 27th. It's the week before the 4th of July. We didn't think it was a good idea to plan a town square event competing with all the activities that are happening. We thought it would be important to commence this 250th celebration at that time. But this is not the end of this committee's work. They'll be reaching out and coordinating with the local museums and organizations to highlight all the different programs. What we're finding on that committee is that there's a lot of different activities happening around the town of Plymouth, and we're creating a master calendar, and we're going to think about other things that we could do beyond 250th, such as recognizing Mercy Otis Warren in some memorialization of her. So there's a lot of things going on in the 250th committee. It's a great group of residents and historians and museums and activists around the community putting together that event for the 27th. So as we approach it, I will keep my board informed.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Any other new business? I have one item if nobody else. Oh, Mr. Quinto, go ahead. No, I'll go last.
Yes, as I brought up before, Madam Chair, business development in the community is at a zero, what it's been for the last few years. So I'd like to start meeting with staff and putting together a committee, or I wouldn't say a committee, but a working group that identifies business acreage, business zoning, and it can actually reach out and try to reach out to businesses, because there's some heavy hitters that want to come to town, and I'm not at will to publicize it at the moment. But that being said, we have to do something to help relieve the people of their taxes in the town. I mean, I've heard it everywhere, and had some interesting conversations that basically one side didn't really know The other side was looking for 2 acres. Another one was looking for 8 acres. Perfect example of that is Costco. They're going for the gas stations. That's coming up June 15th to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Hopefully, they get a decision. If they get the gas station, then Costco will follow. If they don't, I think they're going to Kingston. So it's stuff like that that we have to pay attention to. And I think we have all the right pieces. We just all have to be in the right room. So, you know, if you want to sit in, you're more than welcome. But I want to start meeting at least once a week upstairs. I mean, once a month, excuse me, once a month. And we can all go back and forth to get the chamber, a member for the chamber, the foundation, people that actually own industrial parcels, commercial parcels. I was talking to a few of them this weekend. So I'd like to see what we can do with that, because that would be helpful for everybody.
I think that's a great idea, and it leads very nicely into what I was going to suggest.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength. I've been thinking a lot about economic development, and I know that all of us, in one way, shape, or form, campaigned on the idea of the need for economic development. I don't think there's anyone can deny that we need it. And since I've been on the board, it feels like we've been kind of nipping around the edges, but we don't really have an action plan for how we want to approach this. So I would like to propose that we, this might be a starting point to what you're suggesting, that we have a workshop for the select board to really come up with an actionable economic development plan with some short-term goals and some long-term goals. We have our new assistant town manager, you know, our whole town management administrative function now is set up to support a really robust economic development plan in Lauren Lind, in the way that we're organizing ourselves and the way we're thinking about the future. So I think that this is the perfect time for us to really really think seriously about what can we accomplish and what actions can we take. So my idea for this workshop would be that we come out of it with an action plan that could include the group that you're talking about. It could also include some longer-term goals, such as, you know, exploring SMRs, which I know is something else that we're all interested in doing. But there's also some near-term things. There are a lot of things that, to your point, are already in the works. So to really bring those forward and put them in a plan, I think that would be really helpful. And then we could take that plan to the foundation, which is our economic development partner, and talk about how we might be able to work with them. What can they help us achieve, what gaps we might have, and how we might need to fill those gaps, what additional resources we might need in order to help us get to where we want to go. For example, you know, does it make sense for us to have someone out there actively recruiting businesses into the community, marketing Plymouth to specific industries, and really, you know, what does that look like, and how do we accomplish that? So just open it up to the board to see if that's something that you would support, if we could organize a workshop to accomplish that in the next month or so. Yeah, okay, great. Yes, Mr. Quinn.
I appreciate the workshop, but I still want to get started on what I wanted to do right
Sure,
away.
yeah.
And then they can complement each other,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, let's just stay in touch on that, aligned on
Yeah.
it, so that we're walking in the same direction on it. We don't, but that would be great. And then you can bring that idea to the workshop too, and we can talk about how we flesh that out and work together. Okay, so I will work with staff to get that scheduled, and we'll go from there. All right, anything else on new business? Letters? Old business? Do I have a motion? Oh, you have old business, okay.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago, before the election, I went down to Shallow Ponds and met with Mr. Hertz and some of the neighbors, walked the neighborhood. And I saw where the 40B is going, right behind them. And it's gonna raise heck with the roads. The amount of housing that they have in that area is just, you know. So I don't know what the board would like to do, but I suggest anybody that hasn't gone down there, take a ride down there and take a walk through the neighborhood, see the traffic, see the housing, see what's happening to the roads. These people, I say people, these residents and in this development didn't ask for the 40B behind them. I say behind them, to me, it looked like it was in the back. So that being said, we know how the laws are. They were a little backwards, a lot backwards. And so now these residents are supposed to take the brunt of it. And sooner or later, their roads are going to fail, as well as everything else. So I don't want to set a precedence, but there's enough paperwork, there's enough backlog there to look. It's not a matter of who did this, who didn't do this, who sent this. It's the situation that it's being created now, the 40B. And I'm not a traffic engineer, but it's not even done yet. And unless you've driven down there and looked at it, actually, it's a wow. So I don't know what the next step is, Derek. I know about accepting roads. It's nothing that I've talked with them, and it's nothing that has to be done. We vote all the roads today, but I think it's a good idea to start planning on how we're going to deal with this, because it's our responsibility to deal with this. I didn't create the problem, but we're here to try to fix some of the problems. So, I remain committed to them.
So Mr. Cohen first and then Mr. Canty.
I said this the other night when we were talking about this. I think that we should reserve an article for fall town meeting to accept this road. I know the town staff is working on a policy of how roads will be accepted in the future, but this has been an ongoing issue that has gone on for well over a decade. I served on the Zoning Board of Appeals when the 40B was being proposed, worked with others trying to acquire the property before the 40B for preservation and protecting the shallow pond well out back there. So this area I'm very familiar with. And I'm also very familiar with the neighborhood and what they have all had to endure over the years. And I think it's interesting the town is looking at a policy of how it will accept roads in the future. But this discussion has left the station years ago. They began the application process to be an accepted road. The standing application that we had in the fall of 2005 is which they began. So I think that it's not fair to change that process in the middle of this discussion. I think that they should continue pursuing under the original policy, waiting for them and changing the policy mid-drift after all of these years would be quite painful. So I stand firm on my hope that we will go to fall town meeting and accept this road at Shallow Pond. But I look forward to working with you, Mr. Quintal, and staff to see how we can resolve this issue.
Thank you.
Mr. Cohen. Mr. Canty.
So after the last hearing we had on it, I had sent a list of questions over to Derek to send to the DPW, which I would hope to have answers on before we were to take that up. And they included a comprehensive list of issues as I see them myself, as it relates to not just this particular development and set of roads, but also the wider concerns in the community of the large number of unaccepted roads that are in various levels of disrepair or repair, getting various levels of town services or not getting them, and taking a comprehensive look at that, because I think we need to take into account, at least from my perspective, how this would work in a community of 388 miles of roads, many of which are in an unaccepted state, and the status of those unaccepted and the condition of those unaccepted roads varies widely. So I would hope that we would have that information before we heard it, so that we could make an informed decision about the totality of the circumstances in the broader community.
If I could, Madam Chair, the DPW director has stated that he will be prepared to present and answer Mr. Canty's questions on June 30th.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Are there any other old business? No, hearing
Motion to
none.
adjourn?
Would someone like?
Second.
Okay, okay, we have some eager people here. Okay, discussion. No, hearing none. Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Quintel,
Yes.
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
And myself, yes, meeting adjourned.